People seem to be drawn to what is shocking, what is intense, what is either very sexually provocative or violent, hilarious, funny, or spontaneous. It allows people to relive their emotions, what they've experienced when they watched it for the first time, by rewatching it and reliving it through the eyes of the reactor. Why is it so powerful? When we speak to a loved one, a family member, or friend, and maybe even more so when we speak to a therapist or a counselor, someone we deem an expert in his or her field, we look for objective advice. We want empathy, understanding, and guidance. We want help to identify where we are coming from, where these feelings are coming from, what we can do to resolve them. Both our conscious and our unconscious perceives how that person is responding. They're leaning in. Are their arms crossed? Do they appear to be listening? Are their eyes looking somewhere else, as if absent-minded? The way we perceive the other person in that moment, when we look for connection, when we want to be heard or receive help, determines how we react. We make ourselves vulnerable. We're looking for empathy. We may become defensive if we feel that they're not listening. If we feel that they're withdrawing and detaching, it might cause us to think thoughts like, I'm alone, I'm being rejected, I'm not understood, I'm not loved. At the core of every behavior is either fear or love. At the core of our existential fears is a fear of being alone, for we all must die, and we all will die alone. And while everyone deals with their existential fears and death anxieties in a very different way, if at least by denying that they have any altogether, we all come to a point in life where, if we're cognitively able to, we realize that we are mortal, that we are finite. There's an ending. For some, this may feel like relief. For some, there is a connection to hope in an afterlife or reunion with loved ones we've lost before. For others, this idea is terrifying. Sounds like loneliness. It's a place of darkness, cold dirt, and skeletons. We deal with death when we try to defy it or when we deny it. From adrenaline-infusing skydiving adventures to moments of silent reflection about heaven or reincarnation, to heated debates about the possibility of eternal damnation, ongoing onslaught of advertisement is hitting us about youth and beauty, how to be successful, make more money, how to be pretty. We're trying so hard to bring meaning to our life to counter this plight we are in of death, of mortality, of things coming to an end, not being able to go back in time. We're constantly trying to stay alive. Dare I say, even in the face of suicide, even for those who desire to die, we're still dealing with death, pleading with it, and perhaps struggling with the suffering or lack of fulfillment that we attribute to this life that we're living. Even in the face of depression, when we feel hopeless and we don't want to continue on, we're still dealing with the dilemma of our mortality. Do we stay? Do we go? People are constantly dealing with life and death. Sometimes we just don't know it. Why do I say this, and what does this have to do with reaction videos? You see, we talk about these things in movies, from animated movies about a little boy and his skeleton ancestors who want to be remembered, to movies about how wonderful life is and what life is really about, what matters truly. We're always trying to make sense of life. We're trying to find meaning, trying to understand who we are and why we are, trying to come to terms with the fact that we will cease to exist, or at least in the way that we know. We don't want to be alone. We long to matter. We want to be. We want to be. After all, we're called human beings. So, when we watch someone else, we filter and assess if they can make us feel less alone. Can they give meaning to our existence? Can they empathize with how we feel? Can they possibly relive a moment for us in time so we can feel again the way we did when we watched it for the first time? Watching reaction videos may make us feel part of something bigger than ourselves, less alone, part of a community. Isn't that why concerts are so powerful? A moment in time where we're connected with strangers, a family of fans, people coming together for the same cause, cherishing something that sounds and looks beautiful, allowing the perfect balance, the perfect marriage between individuality and community. Individuality and community. We get to be individuals and subjectively experience this art, how it makes us feel and think, but we also get to know that we're surrounded by people who love this artist or band just as much as we do. We're not alone, and in that moment, we're part of something big and beautiful. We get to stand out and be and belong. Reliving a moment that we thought we could never get back. That in itself can be scary. Realizing that the past is gone, the future is uncertain. No one can guarantee tomorrow, so we try to hold on to moments. And in videos and photography, we get to capture that. We get to make memories, something beautiful and therapeutic. A moment in time where we get to be in that perfect balance, in that dance, exact balance of the pendulum. Reacting means to react, to respond. That implies the repetition of something. Relive, react, retract, rewind. We get to do over. Where children grow up, marriages end, loved ones pass on, wrinkles appear that we can never undo, even if we try. We are constantly reminded that time is moving swiftly and we can't get it back. It's running like sand through our fingers. But with reaction videos, in a way, we get to hit rewind. We get to relive how we felt. We get to experience emotions, the beauty of humanity through the eyes of another, as if seeing something again for the very first time. That's why we value authenticity. Many can spot a fake video or a fake expression of the person behind the screen. Both our conscious and subconscious pays attention to how people react to us, how they respond and behave. And we assess if we're safe or not. Are we alone? Are we welcome? Are we understood? Are we rejected? We pay attention to where their eyes wander, their body language, the sound of their voice. We want to know that we are safe, that we belong, that we are accepted, loved, and seen. We want true empathy, true emotion, because in turn we feel safe. And in turn, we recognize that the things we're feeling, this moment of reliving the beauty of hearing that music for the first time, experiencing the shock of that movie scene, feeling the anger during these political debates, finding someone who agrees with our stance on relationships, men and women. When we perceive the reactor, the person behind the screen, to be authentic and genuine, it validates our feelings. It makes us think, I was right to feel the way that I did. I am not alone in this feeling. I'm not crazy. It makes sense that this hurts. It makes sense that this is funny. We look for community. We want to laugh with others at a comedy show. We want to dance with others when the music starts playing. We want others to agree with us and know that we are all right. Someone else eloquently finding the words to put in words what we're feeling, to put in words why something bothers us, why we feel the way we do. Someone who validates our opinion and perhaps supports it with facts and with valid arguments. Validation is one of the things we look for. Connection, a core human need. We relive a moment through the eyes of the one watching something for the very first time. That is why we value authenticity so much. Most of us can spot a fake video or a fake expression, or forced smile, or perhaps in our fear and suspicion, we assume the other can't truly be authentic. Would they dare to let us into such a vulnerable part of themselves? Are their tears real? Is this laughter genuine? We might be suspicious. We might observe carefully to assess if we can really have a connection. The videos I personally had most success with was when I was honest and real, when I showed my tears and my laughter, when I was able to dive deep into what was happening and I put in words what the viewer may not have been able to. In other cases, it might be an expert of their field, such as vocal coaches, rappers, acting coaches, people who react to and analyze videos. It is intriguing to see someone whose opinion and knowledge we respect respond to things that we cherish, respond and react to things that we consider beautiful. We're looking for that bias confirmation. We want someone to confirm that we're right, that this song or piece that we love is as beautiful as it is. By finding validation, we find meaning in life. We want to be told we are strong, beautiful, capable. We're enough. You are enough. We want to be right. It makes us feel safe. It makes us feel seen. What better way than to have someone who has hundreds, if not millions of eyes on them eloquently express that they too believe this artist wrote, what this movie portrayed, is a masterpiece indeed. It's fascinating to watch their face, to see their laughter, to observe the tears rolling down their face, to learn details that we didn't even notice at first. It's like we get to re-eat a delicious piece of cake, but the master baker is with us and takes us through a chef's kiss baking course on how the dough is made, how the icing is layered, how the sweet cherry is perfectly placed on top. We get to re-eat, we get to relive, and we find power through education. Knowledge is power, making us wiser and once again making us feel more connected with those whose opinion we value. We want to experience things together because we want to love and be loved. When we see empathy in the eyes of the reactors, it makes us feel safe. It soothes our existential fears because in that moment we aren't alone. Our fears make sense. Our feelings, they matter. This may also be a reason why people get angry and reactive when the reactor does not like a video, when the reactor addresses something he disagrees with or expresses a dislike. There is no bias confirmation in that moment. Who likes to be told, you're wrong? I don't like what you like. I don't think this tastes good. After you excitedly brought them something that you so deeply enjoy. You wanted to share this with them and they disagree, they decline, they don't appreciate it. And of course, it depends on how wholesome or insecure the viewers are. The more wholesome, the more we can objectively allow people to perceive things the way they want. The more we can agree to disagree and accept. Not everyone likes what we likes. But the more insecure we are, the more we may react because we perceive their disagreement or disapproval as a rejection of us for who we are. We may think they're rejecting us if they don't like the song we liked or the movie we enjoyed. In therapy, we find things like projecting, transference, and countertransference. And this too happens in reaction videos. Projecting is this thing where you displace your feelings onto a different object or person or animal. It's most commonly used as defensive projection. And it's when we attribute our unacceptable urges onto another. For example, if someone is continuously bullying another or being insecure or shy, they may be struggling with their own feelings of insecurity or being shy. The concept emerged from Sigmund Freud's work on defense mechanisms and was later on refined by Anna Freud. Transference, however, is when we take the feelings we have for something else and transfer it onto another. We redirect some of the feelings or desires we had for another person onto an entirely different person. For example, if you notice the characteristics of your mother in your new boss or your neighbor, now you may attribute motherly feelings towards this neighbor or boss. They can be good or bad. Countertransference is when the therapist's personal thoughts and feelings are transferred onto the client. This can, of course, be a problem, but there are ways in modern therapy to deal with this. The way we project our feelings onto another, the way that we transfer how we feel towards one person, the way we relate towards one person onto another, can directly apply when we watch reaction videos. We may feel insecure and think we're perceiving insecurity in the reactor. We may feel rejected because the reactor didn't like our favorite song. Or we project or transfer. We are putting onto another person what we experienced with someone else or what we ourselves are feeling. And this can also happen vice versa with the reactor, where the reactor is perceiving the music, the movie, through the lens of what they've experienced or how they feel towards someone else in their life. We often do it. We long to find people who can empathize with us. We want to be mirrored. We want to see a reflection of ourselves through the eyes of the other. Empathy is key in reaction videos. We want to know that we're safe. There's a difference, however, between empathy and sympathy. Sympathy being where we feel sorry for someone, but we're kind of glad we're not in their situation. Empathy is where we feel with them. There's an element of compassion, perhaps a desire to help. And there are different types of empathy: cognitive, emotional, and compassion. We may find a reactor applying sympathy, feeling sorry for the person that they're watching or the situation they're perceiving. But we may also find them expressing empathy, feeling the pain. Cognitive empathy is where you know what the other person is going through. You cognitively understand and perceive what they are experiencing. Emotional empathy is more where you literally feel what they're feeling. You feel with them. And compassionate empathy is the kind of empathy that moves us beyond feeling with to want to take action and help the other. Of course, it's important to have a healthy amount of balance in all these situations. But in the reactor, we look for the reactor to show empathy. We look for the reactor to feel with us how this song made us feel, how we perceive this piece of art. And that's where the dilemma occurs, because the reactor is still subjectively experiencing the video. They may say something that we disagree with, and depending on how wholesome, how much the audience is growing, they will either react defensively and become angry or try to attack the reactor, or they may be accepting and willing to learn from this this perspective that is different than their own. Empathy includes compassion and understanding for the other. And when you have empathy, not only is it helpful for your health to release stress, to learn to communicate well, to establish boundaries, but it is also powerful because it allows us to understand where another person comes from. It allows us to experience on a deeper level. We understand, or think we understand, how the reactor is feeling when he or she shows their emotions or shows empathy. I propose an effective reaction is one where the reactor does not have and show sympathy, but empathy, feeling with those suffering in the video, laughing with those who are happy, approaching the content with compassion and understanding and empathy. Not only does this allow for a more intimate, authentic, and real reaction, but I believe it also makes the viewer of the reaction videos feel more understood and seen. It might even make the audience feel safe to cry and laugh as well. It's as if you're experiencing it with a friend. And don't we long for true friendship? The increase of social media has led to a decrease in true social encounters, and thus loneliness and less friendships of true substance, the kind where you laugh and cry together and talk about the hard stuff and work through disagreements, the things that happen when we share what we both love, like showing your loved one your favorite song on the radio while you take a drive or go on an adventure. We want to see ourselves mirrored in the eyes of the other. Once again, perhaps, a way to feel immortal for a moment, like we can live on through another, be part of something bigger than ourselves. Empathy can help lower stress and help you deal with depression. It can allow you to build stronger connections in your life and increase your feelings of happiness and self-worth. It also improves leadership skills. It allows us to understand others, to communicate that understanding, and make an effort to communicate in a way that we can be understood. What has been broken in relationship can be restored through relationship. Trauma, as science and experts in the field are learning, can affect our soma, our body, down to the wiring and the use of our DNA. It's called epigenetics. Epigenetics is a scientific field that investigates how our environment influences our DNA. It doesn't alter our DNA sequence, but how it is read and utilized. Our experiences change how this DNA is read. Significant trauma can cause dramatic plot twists in this reading. It can affect how our DNA expresses and reacts, making our health more susceptible to conditions. Just like stress can lower the immune system. It affects how we engage with the world and perceive the world around us. We can't change the alphabet, we can't change the structure of our DNA, but we can help reshape the story in a healthier way, creating beneficial impacts for family and future generations when we heal trauma through relationship, when we work on what has been broken. So just as much as things can be broken through relationship, they can be restored. Neurons can be rewired. New neural pathways can shape through empathy, through kindness and compassion. That is why I believe the right kind of reactions can be so powerful.